How to Read Guitar Music, Part A, Lesson 2, the minim. Before we go on with this lesson, we'll just recap what we did in the last lesson to make sure you remember it. And we looked at the semi-breve. And the semi-breve is worth 4 beats, and the semi-breve rest is worth the same. And hopefully you've practiced the exercises a few times since the last lesson, because by repetition you'll be far more likely to remember what you've learnt. And so you can practice more easily, the eBooks that accompany this course are available to view free of charge at ebooks4guitar.com, and you just click the lessons button. Okay then, let's take a look at the minim. The minim is hollow again, in the same way the semi-breve was, but the minim's got a tail. And the direction the tail points in doesn't have any effects on the note, it's still a minim. There is a general rule that if the minim's above the centre line, that's the B line, the tail goes downwards. And if the minim's below the centre line, then the tail goes upwards. However, this isn't a law, it's just a generalisation, so you do see them pointing in different directions. The minim should last for 2 beats, and the minim rest the same. The rest for the minim doesn't hang off the D line like the semi-breve rest did, but it sits on the B line. So the difference in the rests is quite subtle. However, there are clues to tell you which rest it is within the music. And here's one of the main clues. At the moment we're working in 4/4 time, which means there's 4 beats in the bar. And there will always be 4 beats in the bar unless it's otherwise stated. And because of this, you will never get 3 minims in a bar, or a minim and a semi-breve rest, or any other combination that adds up to more than 4 beats. So, to summarise what we've learnt so far, we've got a semi-breve that lasts for 4 beats, and the semi-breve rest does the same, and now we've got the minim which lasts for 2 beats, and the minim rest does the same again. Right, let's do some exercises to help you remember what you've learnt so far. Exercise 1. Before we try to play exercise 1, let's take a quick look through it and make sure we understand what's going on. The main bulk of exercise 1 is minims, as that's what we're learning. So the first line is all minims, and in the last bar we have a minim and a minim rest, which means we play the first 2 beats, complete if you can, and then silence for the last 2 beats. Looking at the second line, you'll notice the last 2 bars of the second line are semi-breves, which means we play these 2 chords for a full 4 beats. Now, understanding line 1 and line 2, theoretically you should be able to work out what's going on in line 3 and line 4. If you come across any of the chords you're not familiar with, I've put a link down below in the description to an interactive chord chart. And there primarily you'll find a picture of the chord, and if you can't work it out from that, just click on it and it will take you through to a video which teaches you how to play it. Here's exercise 1 being played at 90 beats per minute. If you think you can follow along, please do so, and if you think you can play along, even better. As usual, there'll be a 2-bar intro before I start, so you can play along with me. Here's exercise 1 again, in case you want to try and play along with me. Remember to try and play the full value of the note. So if you get a semi-breve, allow the guitar to ring for the full 4 beats, and with a minim, as close as you can get to the 2 beats, just to allow yourself enough time to change chords. And when you get a rest, mute your guitar so it's silent. If you're struggling with your chord changes and getting them in place in time, don't worry about it. I'll put some metronome beats at the end of this video at a slower speed, and then you can try playing it more slowly until you've built up your confidence. For those of you who've been playing the guitar longer and want something more challenging, here's exercise 1 at 110 beats per minute. Exercise 2. Exercise 2 is a little more complicated to look at because we've got the chords above the score, then we've got the music with the rhythm in, and below that we've got the tablature which shows the chords broken down slightly. So we're playing the bass of the chord before we strum the rest of the chord. You'll notice that the score consists of both minims and semi-breves. The obvious is that the end of each line is a semi-breve. However, study each note so you get the rhythm correct. Here's exercise 2 played at 90 beats per minute with the usual 2-bar introduction. Here's exercise 2 played again at 90 beats per minute with a 2-bar introduction, so try to play along with it if you can. For those of you who want something a little more challenging, here's exercise 2 again at 110 beats per minute with a 2-bar introduction. However, if this is too fast for you, don't worry, just move on to the next exercise. Exercise 3. Hopefully this exercise is a little more interesting again, in that we're not only playing chords, but we're playing a small part of a melody as well. So you strum the chord, which is a semi-brief, so it lasts for 4 beats, and then you play a small part of the melody with 2 minims, which are 2 beats each, and then we repeat that virtually through the whole tune. Now, in an exercise like this, or a tune like this, you don't have to worry too much about exact timings, because you will get some ring on from open strings, etc. However, if you had to try and mute every single open string, 1, the piece of music would sound terrible, and 2, you just create a nightmare for yourself in trying to achieve that. So, where the strings ring on and stuff, don't worry too much about it. You're worried more about the tune than precise rhythms. Here's exercise 3 being played with a 2-bar introduction at 90 beats per minute, so you can either follow along or play along if you can. And here's exercise 3 again at the usual 90 beats per minute with a 2-bar introduction. And here's exercise 3 at 110 beats per minute with a 2-bar introduction. Exercise 4. This exercise virtually has an identical rhythm to the previous exercise. However, this time, rather than playing the melody, we're playing a bass line. And the bass line will be connecting the chords together. And this is actually quite commonly done in music. So not only is it a useful exercise for learning to read music, but it's something you'll come across quite often if you keep playing the guitar for any length of time. Here's exercise 4 being played at the usual 90 beats per minute with a 2-bar intro, so you can play along if you want to. And here it is again at 90 beats per minute with a 2-bar intro. And just in case that's too easy for you, here's exercise 4 at 110 beats per minute with a 2-bar intro. Exercise 5. Exercise 5 is far more difficult than any of the exercises we've done so far. So if you look at it and look at the chord changes and the chords and they seem very unfamiliar to you or very difficult, don't worry, just skip this exercise and put a little extra time into practicing the other exercises you can play. I've put this exercise here for those who are more advanced, so they've got something a little extra to get their teeth into. Here's exercise 5 being played at 90 beats per minute with the 2 bars introduction, so you can play along. And here's exercise 5 at 90 beats per minute again. Here's exercise 5 again, but this time at 110 beats per minute with a 2-bar introduction, so you can try and play along. Hopefully you've been trying to play as many of the exercises as you can, and that's a good thing, because by repetition the value of the beats will stick into your head and reading the music will become so much easier. And as you do the repetition, the music becomes more and more just automatically part of you, so you don't have to think about it. At the end here, I'm going to have a couple of minutes of metronome beats at 80 beats per minute, 90 beats per minute and 110 beats per minute. So I'll sign off now. Thank you very much for watching, and if you're enjoying this course or getting something out of it, please like and subscribe and hit the bell, and then you'll be notified when I upload new lessons. In order to practice these lessons, you'll need to be able to see the eBooks, and you can find those at ebooks4guitar.com, and they're completely free to view online. Here now are the metronome beats.